Welcome back to Come and See with Terry Lee and the Big C. The best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. Exodus 14:14. The Lord will fight for you, and you only need to be silent. There will always be trials and tribulations in life, but God will carry you through every storm in your life and give you strength to make it. Those of you that have followed my journey know that I have treatment 2 weeks in a row and a week off in between for each cycle. On my week off, Steve and I were heading to Manassas, Virginia to pick up our home on wheels for Houston for the next 10 months of treatment. Steve headed out ahead of me to drive our Yukon to Virginia while I flew to Houston for my second treatment of the cycle and would fly to meet him to pick up the coach. Upon purchasing the coach, there was a punch list of items to be completed prior to us taking ownership. When Steve arrived, there were multiple items that still needed to be done. I was flying in the following morning. Our plan was to take the coach up to Wisconsin to load up the items from our storage unit that came off of our boat and in turn drive from Wisconsin to Houston. Due to timing constraints, we had to leave with the coach prior to the items being completed and change our plans to stop in Dallas prior to Houston at a sister store to have them complete the list. To begin the saga, we noticed the coach was leaning slightly to the passenger side in the rear as it settled, which means a small leak in the rear airbags. Day 1. The Oasis boiler heating system was supposedly fixed, but we had no heat upstairs. It was too cold for the rooftop units to function. The radiant floor heat was all we had to keep us warm. The dealer gave us an electric heater to run while moving the coach from Virginia to Wisconsin, then to Texas. I literally slept with my head covered by blankets. Day 2, as I lay in the back stateroom taking a nap, the locked pantry came sliding out and pulled the screws right out of the floor as Steve drove around on an on-ramp in Indiana. Fortunately, the items remained on the shelves, but the pantry would not go back in. We piled bags in front of it to prevent further damage. We stopped to meet Steve's mom for lunch as we got into Wisconsin. Upon leaving the coach, the step cover would not retract completely, leaving the first step under cover. Day 3, uneventful. We stayed overnight at my brother-in-law and sister's house in the coach. We were able to obtain the items from storage and fill the coach for our stay in Houston. My brother-in-law helped Steve repair the pantry and secure it to be better than when we picked it up. Day 4, heading down to Texas. We stopped for the night in St. Louis. The steps would not go out. We had to climb up into the coach and jump down for the balance of our trip. Day 5, the large full-size slide would not go out. The Hadley air ride controllers were not functioning. Basically, anything that was hydraulic was no longer functioning on the coach. Fortunately, the 2 slides on the passenger side are electric, so these could be extended. 3 hours from Dallas, we stopped at a KOA for the evening. Day 6, the next morning we were all set to make our last portion of the trip to meet with the techs in Dallas. That would be completing the punch list that was growing daily. We pulled out of the campground and heard a scraping sound. The air ride was not functioning. The rear of the tag axle coach was inches from the ground. We proceeded to unhook the truck from the Blue Ox and Steve backed the coach back into the campground. The next day and a half were spent trying to resolve the issue by contacting Newmar, Spartan Reps, and Mobile RV Services. The mobile repair guys were able to help Steve get the nose of the coach open, which is hydraulic, so that he could manually add air to the rear airbags so that we could complete the trip. $285 later, we showed up at the RV center, backed the coach into the campground where it released the airbags again. The problems were now being passed on to the Dallas Service Center. We have never been so relieved to make it to a destination in our lives. The stress was indescribable. Lots of tears shed and prayers sent. On that note, time to head back to Houston for another cycle of treatment.